I've seen situations like that. And then you have to understand what that does to people. You know, you can't undermine people's sacrifice. Because when you do that, what ends up happening now is that you're at the mercy of them saying, well, what's the punishment for me not showing up to work? Because I'm showing up to work and not getting paid. So if I don't show up to work, I'm still not getting paid. What's the difference? 0 times 100,000 is still 0. Right? So that is why I made. Because let's be honest, this came about during the pandemic. So I had a different area of focus at the time. But right now, in the purpose and in the spirit of rebranding and rebuilding, yeah, I am using this as a platform to empower my teachers. That's what this is going to be used to do. To protect you from being exploited. Yeah? Consider this the self-defense for teachers, the martial arts for teachers. Yeah? So that way, you don't have to put up with the disrespect. You know? Wait, give me a second while I turn off my alarms. Give me a second there. Okay, let me apologize for that. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, and also you want to be able to make your content in a way where you still can protect yourself. So for example, I was having a conversation with one of my friends. He had this page that he's been working on from at least 11 years back, or even before that, because I remember when this page was just made. And apparently, for whatever reason, the community standard guidelines, as you know, almost every year or every 2 to 3 years, they change. When they change, what ends up happening is that, you know, your content, depending on whatever is stated in there, is now a violation to what. So in other words, it was okay before. Now, because of the new guidelines, it is now violating the guidelines. And then instead of them saying to you, hey, we're putting a strike on the page because XYZ, they go to the extreme and they remove the page entirely. And I'm not talking about somebody that had like just maybe a handful of followers. It's like you're talking close to 1 million followers, such and such, you know? And you have to be prepared for those possibilities as well. Right? So that's why you create your, whether your OneDrive subscription or your Google Drive subscription, and also have a massive terabyte physical hard drive as well, and keep copies of your videos on each of them. So whether it be OneDrive, Google Drive, and your hard drive. So if something happens to your hard drive and you get a new computer, you can just sign into your account, download all the files that you've kept over the years, and you can, if at your own choosing, if you decide to create or start over by building another page, you can use the content that you didn't lose. Because the last thing you want to do is not have a backup for all of that. Just imagine losing rows and columns, matrices worth of videos that you have done over the years. You don't want that happening to you. I mean, sure, it happened to me at one point when I was doing a different series of content creation ideas. And I'm glad it happened to me. At the time, I wasn't, but I'm glad it happened because it taught me, hey, don't treat that as a safety net. Yeah, it's nice to have this stuff on YouTube, but be smart and have it stored somewhere else. But just in case they decide, hey, you know what? You're violating community standards. So even that is something that we still are learn. Yeah, we still are learn about that because you have to be very careful on the social media landspace, right? You have to be careful. And honestly, it's not necessarily anybody's fault. You know, the guidelines can literally change overnight, and all of a sudden, videos that were okay and acceptable just suddenly aren't acceptable anymore. And then they just remove your page without warning you at all. You know, so it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. A lot. But the idea is that you want to have something that these people can't take from you. And what I mean by that is your fellow, or rather your employers, your administrators. They have